helping new players is about as important as the amount of time and money that you spend playing a game. And that statement is largely true for many MMORPGs, if not all MMORPGs. In the case of Come to Us, they've made many other games in the past, East Legend, Soul Seeker, however, have really truly found universal success in Summoner's War. Now, in the topic of games, Summoner's War has a lot of competition. They have competition with games such as Clash of Clans, games such as Clash Royale, same company, games such as Angry Birds, other games like that. However, Summoner's War obviously comes more on the competitive side of games. And we're only talking about the mobile games right now. We haven't included games from like Blizzard, League of Legends, games like that. Like those type of games, only Hearthstone is the only major game from Blizzard that can really be played on a mobile platform. And yeah, so that leaves a lot of room for players to play different games, a lot of room for players to not just play Summoner's War, but to play any other game. Now, Summoner's War doesn't have to be the only game that a player has to play, but it can be a game that someone can play on the side, hence why it's a mobile game. So, the reason why Summoner's War is played so much is because of the fact that there is a replay ability and where you farm for your runes, you farm for the essence for your monsters, and then you repeat the process as long as you keep summoning monsters. And there's things such as fusion monsters that you can work on. There are some campaign aspects. Come to Us never really did a good job on that. They were never really good on the campaign aspect of Summoner's War. It's just, a bunch of text, beating Fame on Hell. Beating Fame on Normal for the Light and Dark Scroll, and things such as that. Now, Come to Us has done things to improve the game, such as including a mentor and mentee system, which, in my opinion, is incredibly awesome. Like, seriously, the aspect of having 5 extra friend slots, essentially, for people lower than level 50 is a huge deal for Summoner's War, because that helps players to help newer players coming into the game. It helps players farm, so they have an incentive to keep playing the game, so that they don't have to do their 3-minute Feynman runs with their Ramagos in normal mode. That was the first time that I made my 6-star monster, was taking Ramagos into Feynman normal, and literally spending the whole week farming 2-star monsters into 5-star monsters just to make my first 6-star mon. And that was absurd. So, the question is, why is it important to help new players? The reason why it is important to help new players is essentially because if we don't have any new players coming into the game, simply the game will die. And if the game is to die, the only players to remain will be the hardcore players. And if only the hardcore players keep playing a game, the aspect of newer players coming into the game won't exist. That is why I believe that, in my mind, the Asian server will not be as prevalent as that of the global server, because the global server caters very largely to a large amount of players. Global, everyone wants to be in a large player base, therefore the global server will always be the biggest server, in my opinion. Do I think that Asia server is currently the most competitive server? I do not think that is true, simply because right now, runes have basically been equalized ever since the time of 2014 to 2016. The only difference right now is the monsters that you've summoned, and that's the only big difference. Now, in terms of new players, it's very important to have them, because firstly, you need your game to grow. Come to Us really needs to focus on keeping these new players to come into the game. They need to realize that this game is largely like there is no real ceiling to the game. Like the runes that you place on a monster, they will never be ideal. In a world where a monster is runed ideally, it doesn't really exist. There is no real player, no real monster that is runed to perfection. And even if you were to rune that monster to perfection, there's so many other monsters to rune to perfection that essentially having one well-runed monster shouldn't really make that much of a difference. And the ceiling from a level 1 and to that of a level 50 is not that much different. Now, that may be a strange statement, but just keep in mind that, to be honest here, if you get in 2016 to almost 2017, if you get from level 1 to level 50 right now, there's almost no difference in level of game knowledge other than the fact that you understand the concepts of how the game works. And ways that we can help new players is that we can help them when they come into a new channel. We can help them with their runes, their monsters. We can help them on setting up which monsters are best to rune in the early game so that they can then further progress in the game so that they can enjoy the game to a larger degree. And the reason why it is important to have this player base increase and be stable is because really, without a large player base in a game, what tends to happen is the competition tends to become bland. That's in my opinion. I've played many other games before where the player base has dwindled down to the point of only about 10 players being prevalent in a game. And that's really, really boring. So what I'd like to see is in Summoner's War is that players that are really have been invested in the game, people that have really played this game a lot, come into the mindset that they need to really be helping these players out. Because, look, I know there's a lot of noobs in channels, from channel 100, channel 150, channel 65, my channel, channel 1. Many noobs still exist. There's still noobs that have played the game for 2 years, not level 50 yet after 2 years. But they always ask me questions like, how do I rune this monster? How do I rune my Chasen? How do I rune etc., etc. And I do tend to grow bored of tired of answering these questions, but it is largely important that you understand that at least they're asking questions on how to improve in this game, because it shows that they want to improve, and them asking you questions is them looking up to you, and it's a good feeling, although it becomes annoying over time. But essentially, the reason why you should be helping new players is that so the player base continues to grow in the game, and that so Come to Us has a solid system to keep working on Summoner's War, because if the player base in Summoner's War dwindles from what it is right now, this is their high point right now, in my opinion. They're really doing well right now. If it continues to dwindle down like that, there is no reason for for Come to Us to really work on Summoner's War unless they decide to do a huge overhaul. And huge overhauls in games, which I've seen in the past, tend to have failed dramatically, causing player bases to drop about 50% or more. So really, helping new players is essentially trying to keep the game alive and to increase the value of competition within a game. And in the next clip that I'm about to show, I'll be helping you guys on how to help players in game. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you. Hello guys, so right now I'm going to be showing you guys 3 ways to help players in and out of game for Summoner's War. So to start off with, let's look at the Mentee and Mentor system, which is located in the community tab, which you click there, and you go to Friends, and then you go to Mentor and Mentee. So from there, you can see that there's 3 options, which is Add Friend, Message Friend, and Gather Energy. And honestly, this is a really helpful system because this allows mentees to have one-on-one conversation with level 50 players whom typically should have a higher game knowledge than that of that person that is lower than level 50. So, really, this is one of the best updates that Come To Us has ever released to help new players, because this allows new players to have more understanding of what to do in the early game, what monsters to build, how to go about building a Dragon 10 team, a Giants 10 team, a Necro 10 team, and so on. And really, I've really enjoyed this system, and really makes me happy that they released it. Another way to help players in game is simply staying in your regular channel. You don't have to go about looking for new players to help, because new players should always be coming into your channel as of 2016, December 31. And right now, for example, in channel 1, people are talking. I don't think there's really anyone that's looking for help right now, but for example, if you're not busy being AFK farming or raiding or whatnot, if you have the feeling to help someone at that moment, you should do so, because that person is probably as clueless as you were the moment that you started playing Summoner's War. They might have not known what a Rainbow Mon is actually used for, what a Devilmon is actually used for, what they should be using Devilmon for. Should they be using their Devilmon on their 3-star monster, or saving it up for that nice 4-star or 5-star monster that they have, and so on. So, really, that is why it's really important to help players. You don't, in the channel that you're in, you don't really have to go out about searching for noobs. If you really want to help those type of people, then feel free to look around in other channels to help those type of people. That's really awesome. Anyways, a third way to go about helping other people is to be active in the Reddit posts and answering people's questions and all that sort of stuff. And really, that is one of the other best ways to help a new player out in a game, is if they're actively looking for it through a different source, such as Reddit, and really that allows us players that are more experienced to help those that are new. So really, it's a win-win for both sides, because one, they get the information that we know, and two, we get a good feeling for helping out a new player. And it really does feel good when that player that always asks questions and improves ends up being one of the better players in the game. It's really fun to watch, and yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.